Gary Norton.
Council Member Linda Smith.
From Port Wentworth, and you've had some interesting activity in the last week or two, especially today. Can you kind of recap what's gone on since the last council meeting in regards to a city administrator?
Well, he was at the meeting Thursday night. They rushed through a vote for him that nobody knew about but
And
the
this is
four.
Steve Davis.
Steve Davis, yes
Okay.
ma'am. He was at the meeting, and they rushed a vote through to put him in, and they used Robert's Rules of Order, and the city attorney asked him to table it and bring it at the next meeting, and Debbie Johnson says, we don't have to listen to the attorney.
And Debbie Johnson is another council member. And when you say they, you're talking about four other council members: Debbie Johnson, Mark
Stevens, Sherry Dial, and Thomas Barbie.
And you have previously said to me and others, and Linda has as well, and Mr. Heron, that y'all knew nothing about
Nothing.
this guy that was going to be hired.
The lawyer, the acting interim city administrator didn't know anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just feel like that they'd already made their plan outside of here, outside of the city hall.
Mm-hmm.
And Friday morning, he shows up with a contract in hand, wanting me to sign it.
And you didn't sign it?
No, ma'am, I haven't signed it as of now. And we're looking at ways that we can try to rectify what's going on out here legally. And we've got some good leads so far, and I just can't talk about them right now, but y'all will see it. It'll be seen to the citizens.
And since that night, he's been at City Hall, the new City Hall, in
Yes,
an
ma'am.
office working as...
He took Phil's office.
You took Phil's office, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Friday,
He
what
fired
happened?
Cheryl. He fired Cheryl, brought her in.
This is Mr. Davis fired and she was a clerk.
Yeah, she was a clerk too. She wasn't a clerk of council, but she had got some schooling through the city, and she handled water bills very well. And he told her that he had some complaints on her customer service, and that he had to let her go. And there's nothing in the girl's file, and she's already got a lawyer. And I say, God bless her. You know, anybody that's served that long in the city and doesn't have anything in their file, you know, it's a bad day, you know, and to be fired right before Christmas.
And then today,
Yeah. Steve fired Chief Libby. Libby asked, could he get
he's
us
the police chief, right?
police chief? No, he's a public safety director.
Public
He's over
safety.
the police department and fire department.
Okay.
Today, he fired him, and Libby asked him, could the council let him get his retirement early, 3 years early, and he told him no. So
28 and a half years experience.
And do you know how long he's been police, or was head of the police
since
department?
2010 or 11.
2010 or 11.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, because I was on council when he got moved up to chief.
And have you ever heard any complaints about Libby other than the normal citizen maybe saying, I got a speeding ticket, or, you know, complaining about that kind of a thing? Has this file
He
got
don't
a
have-
lot of
From what I
negative?
understand, he don't have nothing in his file either, but, you know, there's kids out here that's been rough, pretty rough, and one of them was my kid. And, you know, Libby done what he needed to do to try to turn these kids around. And I feel safe at my house. And there's been council members, like Ms. Johnson, for instance, says how great our police department is. And, you know, I feel safe with those guys out there. So,
Do you know what's behind this firing? Do you think that, did Steve Davis, to your knowledge, give Libby a reason?
I think Libby told us this morning that he didn't think the way they think.
And they would be,
And he had
Steve.
trouble with council members communicating with them.
now who does he answer to according to the charter? The police chief or director of public safety?
Me and the council.
Okay. And who is supposed to do the hiring and the firing?
The city, well, actually, the council are supposed to do that. The way they done this thing, years ago, they let Philip Claxton do the hiring and firing. But they never made an ordinance for it. And there's not an ordinance out there that the city administrator can fire. So
Does
they're
the
going
charter
about this-
say mayor and council?
I think so. I think it does say that.
Yes.
Okay, so, And-
but they're not doing it. Steve Davis is doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know if Mr. Davis was interviewed or had a background check or?
He hasn't yet.
Okay.
And if he's been interviewed, it was by the 4, because we haven't interviewed him. And that's why I won't sign his contract, because I think he's in there illegally.
Yeah. And,
He has not been vetted.
no.
He doesn't have enough experience to be our city administrator. Our ad said 2 to 5 years experience. He's only had 8 months experience in Effingham County.
And was he, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And there was a candidate from Metter that had 7 years experience. He was a minority, and he seemed like Phil said, this is the guy we're gonna ask if y'all wanna go forward with it. So we said, no, if you're gonna stay here a while, we'll go on with you. So all 6
Phil
council
Jones.
members, Phil Jones, all 6 council members voted Phil in. And then they just slapped him in the face the other night and told him he's just gonna be a consultant. But this guy in Metter, if he wants to get a case going, boy, better watch out, because they didn't do this right.
Do you think, what do you expect at the next council meeting? When is your next council meeting?
Well, according to what you told me, it's the, would it be the 19th? 19th, next Thursday. Not this coming, but next Thursday. They're gonna make him full-time.
Oh, because they
Steve
advertise, they placed an advertisement in the legals of the Savannah Morning News stating that they would be discussing making him permanent. Right. Okay, so
Okay,
that's,
and,
and that's kind of unusual too, to put that kind of a statement in a meeting
And
notice, do you
you
think?
talk about personnel in executive session, not out there the way they done that. Because that was, nobody knew that was coming except them, except their group.
Right. Okay, so what's your next step then?
I can't.
Have you talked to Mr. Davis much?
Investigations.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Mr. Davis at all. I've been at City Hall like yesterday, and he left when he saw us coming in, so.
So next step would be.
I mean, I don't have I didn't up until he fired Cheryl. I didn't have any ill will toward Mr. Davis.
Yeah.
But I don't know him, as far as him saying hey to me at an oyster roast. And then Barbie said, you talked to him at length at the oyster roast, maybe 2 minutes. And he turned around and walked off. But that's not giving somebody an interview. That's not an interview. And if Barbie thinks that, so be it.
So next step might be, you said there might be some things coming down the pike, some answers.
I can
or
just
some-
tell you that there's gonna be an investigation, and I can't talk about the investigation. And there's other people looking at this.
Should the Port Wentworth people be concerned about this? There's public safety. Who's in head of the department?
That's a good
Lee
question.
Sherrod is right now.
Lee
But-
Sherrod.
Yeah, but they have created a hostile work environment for these employees of the city. It's definitely we don't know who's next. I mean, we've heard names, we've heard, who else they want to get rid of, but, they would have to do it to prove it.
Have you gotten any advice on how you can stop that kind of a thing, or is there anything you're just waiting to find out what you can do?
Well, there's an investigation gonna happen.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
And is that by law enforcement or?
It's by a state agency.
Okay.